The best way I'd say is like go to Etsy and do a quick keyword search for anything and put yourself in the mindset of the customer.
Mhm.
Like ever since you start selling, you kind of go into the seller mindset and sometimes we get trapped there, but then you got to switch back. Like, no, I'm the customer again. Just quickly look at, what you're seeing in search results. Like the thumbnail speaks to the potential buyer more than I think anything else. Initially, that's like where your eyes track.
Welcome to Built Online. I'm Cody McGuffie, and this podcast is all about one thing: building the business of your dreams. Selling art, teaching classes, starting a blog, launching a brand, whatever your passion is, we show you how to turn it into real income. I created EverBee to help anyone with a dream start and scale business.
EverBee.
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 We now serve over 800,000 creators all across the globe. On this show, we bring on real entrepreneurs who've done it. They share their secrets, they share their failures, the exact steps that you can take to get started. What if you can get one golden nugget out of today's episode? And it's the breakthrough that takes you from just dreaming to actually living a life on your terms. At EverBee, we believe that every human is a creator and every creator should own a business. So man, we're super happy to have you on. So thank you for coming. Seriously.
Yeah, Cody, man. I'm happy that we get to sit down and like get to know each other a little bit better and talk Etsy.
Totally. Because we know we kind of live in the similar circles. Right. We've come across like each other in like a few different groups and stuff. Haven't got to connect a whole lot. Obviously I know your YouTube channel, and I'm sure a lot of people listening like know your channel too, where you just like give so much value and for free, right? On your YouTube channel about e-commerce, about Etsy, about other platforms as well. But I'm curious, man, for personally, like, I want to know your story, like a little bit more. We kind of dove in a little bit, but like where you live.
Yeah. So what I was saying earlier, like I grew up in Northern Virginia, like went to school here. So I have like my high school friends, my college friends, everybody's kind of here. My family's here.
Cool.
And it's also like a support system. like people that wonder how I kind of get as much done as I do with my business. A lot of it has to do with just like that support system that I can lean on my family if I need it. Like legitimately, like just yesterday, my mom did a wire for me for my like FBA business. That's time that I don't have to spend driving to the bank, and those little things, like they add up for real. Like in terms of people watching that maybe want to like replicate my success, like it's great to have that motivation. The one thing I'd challenge everybody to do is just focus on how you spend your time. I'm not telling you to like change anything. Just really like think about how your time is spent on a day-to-day basis and optimize it, because time is money, especially with selling on Etsy, regardless of what you sell. I mean, if it's print on demand, like that's you can list all day. So you got to kind of figure out like what's the best way to make money in that regard, because it just opens up the doors.
I love it. I totally agree with you. So in so many levels. And you run a remote business, right? Just to be clear, like just so everybody listening, like you do YouTube channel stuff, which is awesome. And then you also like run your other online e-commerce businesses. All this stuff is remote. So like we talked a little bit before we started recording of commute time and how it just like eats up your time and stuff like that. Like talk about like if you could sell like the opportunity of e-commerce, right, to people, and like when in regards to like time savings and stuff like that, if you can figure it out, like how much time do you spend in a car? Because a lot of people right now are listening to this and they're like, they could be commuting in their car, right? They're sitting in a 45-minute traffic, right, to get to their day job. And they have this dream of like exiting that job and like having their online business, right? Talk to those people a little bit, like inspire them. Like, can they do it?
Yeah, it's funny too that you said inspire. So I'm not gonna say what I used to say to my coworkers, because like there was a time where we would park above ground at my old job at a small company, and then they tried to force us to park underground or pay for a parking pass. And I did the math of like just the extra 5 minutes of going underground, circling a couple times, then taking an elevator up, how much extra time of your life every single year you were wasting as a result of the extra 5 minutes both ways. So I won't go there. But if you need inspiration to like work yourself out of that situation, like I don't want to be cynical, but it's just like, man, when I was sitting in traffic, that was all the motivation I needed to not have a 9 to 5, like for real. I ended up actually leaving my 9 to 5 February of 2020. So right before I could have worked remotely and probably held on to that job for another year. But you know what? I don't look back or regret anything. I honestly worked that job a lot longer than I probably needed to. I was a web developer, so
Cool.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't like work on my passive income side hustles at the time that became the main income from work. It helps to be at a computer all day. So
Totally. And I think, dude, I was the same way, by the way. Like I was a corporate job. I was good. I was a good employee. And when I say like good employee, I mean like I was a top performer in my company in a way
Mhm.
that like I can perform what everybody else is doing took them 8 hours. I could do it in 4 hours, and I could spend the rest of my 4 hours. I could proactively kind of spend it on my e-commerce business at the time. First, it was Amazon FBA for me.
There you go.
But so like same as you, it sounds like
Yeah, dude, I'm the same way too though. Like if like in my the way my brain kind of works is like, well, I'm gonna be a developer, so I'm gonna be really good at development, you know? So like
yep,
I always told people like you can sit 100 developers. I mean, I was a web developer, specifically front end, but
yep,
I could do some back end, whatever. Like if you sat 100 of them down, gave them the same task, like someone's gonna finish first, right? Someone's gonna
mhm,
finish last. Chances are the person who finishes first is gonna have the best work because it's not a competition of how long you spend. Like there's elegance in writing less code, you know, and
yep,
that's often like the best solution. So yeah, like if you can get your job done quicker, it was almost like a testament to you being good at your job as a developer. So that was
totally.
something that like freed up a lot of time. Like I used to do my like be designing t-shirts, and like sometimes I would remote desktop into my work from work to my home computer and just be like using upload automation at home while I'm at work, you know? And like I used to be crazy like that, but that's like honestly, like I took it so seriously. Like in my mind, it wasn't a joke. It was like I want to set myself free and see like what life is really about when you don't have to be beholden to somebody else or
Oh my
beholden to a
gosh.
paycheck. So yeah, man. And like FBA, started with FBA, led me to print on demand. Started with Amazon merch, which is a great print on demand opportunity where like is an Amazon run program. And I realized I can take my merch designs, start listing them on Etsy, and just kind of did the work that I've already done, the hard work, the research, the design. I'm like, okay, I can just put it over here on Etsy, a
Yep.
growing platform, and have it all automated almost the exact same way that it works on Amazon merch. And
I love it.
I just kind of stuck to it. Yeah.
There's so much there. Thank you for that. I want to unpack some of that. So what year did you start? What year did you launch your Amazon FBA first business?
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out on my own, man. FBA is tough. Like
It's hard.
it's
Yeah.
Seller Central is honestly, they like redid the whole UI. It's still super
Yeah.
unintuitive.
Very
So I don't
clunky.
blame anybody that needs help. Like I just by chance, if you want to call it that, like cross paths with somebody that was like an FBA coach. And it's like, what are the chances? You know what I mean?
Yep.
What are the chances? But it just like fate, you could say, brought us
It's
together
probably
because ultimately,
manifestation. You probably
dude,
manifested
that
that in
moment
one
like
way.
led me here for real, like indirectly. And yeah, like I said, you know what, this is too good to be true. Like I got his contact, ended up hiring him. Honestly, like back then it felt like a lot of money, but it was only $2,500, and he saw me through from start to finish, like just one meeting a week every Wednesday night.
Love it.
And that was that, you know. And then with FBA, yeah, like I said, that helped open the door to other opportunities.
Oh,
And I
totally.
still
Yeah.
sell FBA.
I love it. So do I, by the way. Like that was my first like online e-commerce business. I still literally have like products like whatever. Same. Very cool. So unpacking that a little bit, you took massive action, first of all. Like you're just an action taker as your personality. So that's one reason you're successful in your career, which is web development, your first career. And then you took massive action for this other opportunity of like this e-commerce thing, freedom lifestyle type of thing. And then you took it a step further and actually invested in yourself, right? $2,500, by the way, is like, to me, I'm like, yeah, it's a no brainer. So the majority of people listening to this are just like, oh my gosh, you spent $2,500 on this person that's
For
unproven and
what
like, for
exactly?
what
Yeah.
exactly? And it's not always clear. But the point is just the willingness to do something like that was obviously a testament to you. I don't need to tell you that, but that's amazing, man. Seriously.
Yeah, it's you know, it's a good story to tell too, because I
Yeah.
mean, it was just so like, and what's crazy, just to like even zoom out just a second, if you believe in like fate or whatever chance, like the guy who I was supporting a friend who was giving a keynote speech at like a local business. I don't know what to call it. It was like a local business owners like once a month meeting thing that I wasn't even a member of that whole thing. He was the member. And he invited me and a couple other people, like we were all in a fraternity together in college. He was actually the reason I joined the fraternity. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm
Yeah.
supporting him there, and I meet the FBA coach.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Something that I would have never done on my own. And it's just
Oh,
kind of like that ultimately led me here in an indirect way. So
oh, totally. Well, so when you talk about like fate and you believe in fate and stuff like that, I personally do. I believe in like manifestation. I believe like you set your visions on something and you get so clear on it in your mind, and all of a sudden, like the universe or God or however you want to look at it attracts it to you. And that sounds
yeah,
like to me
same,
that's the way I would explain
same.
it to that. Okay.
Yeah,
Like that's not even a coincidence to me. That's like actually just like that's exactly how the universe works. If you actually look at it that way, and if you documented all the things, and this is like nerding out, but like if you documented every time that happened, it actually pretty freaking obvious that this actually how it works.
dude. Yeah, no. I'm 100% with you, man. We could go on a long tangent about this. Trust me, and I could share some stories that I probably shouldn't share publicly that like
Oh my
came to
gosh.
me. You know what I mean?
Same, seriously. And I see it every day. And it's because we're aware of it. Okay. Uh, Now you started your FBA business, you had some success. It sounds like you had probably some failures in there too. Tell us about like what the opportunity is for like Etsy. Let's dive into Etsy more specifically. Print on demand. You already said you shared that. How much can people actually make on print on demand? Like what's like an awesome big number, and then what are like some like average numbers, and then like obviously you can make zero, right? So share a little bit of that. You have a big circle, kind of like I do in this regard.
Yeah, like I'll actually keep it real too with my Etsy story. So when I started Etsy print on demand, I didn't sell my FBA products on Etsy. I went just print on demand route, and I
Yep.
always optimized my entire print on demand journey based on my Amazon merch journey. And with Amazon merch, just to briefly just kind of tell how it works, like it's an invite only thing. When you get accepted, which you can apply right now, it's just amazon.com/merch.
Mhm.
They start you off, you can only list 10 designs. And
Crazy.
until you make some sales, 10 all you get is 10. And then you start making sales, they'll reward you. They'll bump you up to 25. You go from 25 to 100, 100 to 500. So like that was how I paced myself on my journey. And I like that they did that because it was gamified. So then it's like when I learned about Etsy print on demand and that we can integrate with a production partner, get automated sales fulfillment, I was all about that. And I had, all these designs that I'd already created that I've already been monetizing. I know which ones are like, I know which ones to prioritize making available for sale first, because I've already got the sales data from Amazon where I started, and
Yep.
so it was a real easy transition for me. But like Etsy for me, like I'm not one of the like major Etsy success stories that I know you've interviewed
Yeah.
in the past, because like I lost my Etsy shop in 2019. I'm transparent about it. A
I
lot of
love
it
it.
was, dude, a lot of it was just because during Trump's presidency, like I realized you can sell hats all day. They don't have to be Make America Great Again hats. You can swap America out with like golf.
Make
You
all
know
the
what I mean?
game.
Just
But
as
yeah.
an example, right? Make golf great again, right? And it's like I don't need to go do any research. I'm just going to make a bunch of these and throw them up and see what happens. And like all of a sudden I'm making all these sales and everybody gets in on how easy it is. And the next thing you know, people realize they can just report me and say that this was their idea first.
Mhm.
And there's no validation. You're just on the receiving end of enough reports. Eventually you get your account. Anyways, not to be,
Yep.
I'm
Totally.
back on Etsy. I love the opportunity, but like a lot changed in the about year and a half I took off. It got a lot more competitive. Like the bar was raised. You know what I
Yep.
mean? You can't jump on and like just throw a bunch of hats up and not optimize the listings. You got to go out there and like
Do
take that
research.
primary thumbnail, make it look a little bit better, make somebody excited to purchase from you. You know what I mean? Because there's two ways to frame it. There's, hey, it's a simple hat, or there's, hey, it's a simple hat that ships fast. And here, let me highlight the design and make sure you can see it, and add a
Yep.
video. So if you mouse over it, it shows a video, all that the little things.
I love it. I totally agree with that. Like it's not, Etsy's becoming like more of a platform. It's becoming a little bit more mature, meaning like the sellers are becoming more advanced. If you're not going to, or they're coming from other platforms like Amazon and coming over to Etsy, and they're more advanced on Amazon, right? And they're coming over to Etsy and they understand a lot of the fundamentals. So the Etsy seller that doesn't understand some of the fundamentals, they need to play catch up or they'll lose. Like they need to catch up on all these fundamentals. They need to understand the research. They need to understand how to make a design that sells, and the image, right? The listing, to optimize the listing. You can't just like throw up like cool hat and expect a bunch of sales. I get it. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it's a process. And like I was just reading a YouTube comment the other day. Someone was like, yeah, I just dove in head first. It's a lot. I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I know I'm gonna do it. Like I know I'm gonna make it. That's like the perspective you have to have. It's better to understand that there's a lot coming at you that you're gonna have to digest, and just know that you have to face the learning curve and accept that you will come out the other side better
Yep.
than to not know. You know what I mean? Because if you go through it and you only do the minimum and you genuinely don't know why you're struggling to make sales, you know what I mean? It's better to just know, oh, I didn't do my best when it came to, optimizing my tags or my thumb. Honestly, I think thumbnail is like one of those that a lot of people could use improvement on.
Okay.
And
I want to dive
like
in there with
literally,
you.
yeah, somebody just emailed me the other day and they were like, look, like two things. Like if you just started print on demand over again, can you replicate your current success? I said yes, but it's going to take me the same amount of time. You would think it would take me less time because I know more now than I used to. No, I think it'll take me the same amount of time. Like I'm going to give myself a long time horizon. And two, I didn't get specific about anything, but I just said, look, a lot of people I think gather a lot of knowledge about like what's the best way to go about succeeding at print on demand. And then I think for whatever reason, like maybe life gets in the way. That means different things to different people.
Mhm.
And they create mental justifications for not doing things to the highest degree that they are capable of doing. And then
Mhm.
it's like what you end up getting is like a little bit of effort. Like technically you tried, but you'll never know what you were actually capable of achieving because like you came up a little bit short. You know, I just challenge people not to do that.
I love that. Can we talk about a little bit about the thumbnail thing? I think you have a unique perspective on this, and not a lot of people I've actually had on the channel actually talk about thumbnails. And I agree they're super super important. Can you walk through the seller that's just starting out? Like, why are thumbnails even important? Let's start there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like the best way I'd say is like go to Etsy and do a quick keyword search for anything and put yourself in the mindset of the customer. Like
Mhm.
like ever since you start selling, you kind of go into the seller mindset and sometimes we get trapped there, but then you got to switch back. Like, no, I'm the customer again. Just quickly look at, you know, what you're seeing in search results. Like the thumbnail speaks to the potential buyer more than I think anything else. Initially, that's like where your eyes track. You know, I was a front end web developer, so like this stuff is always on my mind. Like
Yep.
when you lay out a web page, like you kind of set like it's like a user orientation system. You guide their eyes based on like how big something is, and then like what's the next thing based on, you know, size contrast or color
Totally.
contrast.
It's
And it's the
kind of
same
like,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, like it's kind of like when you're Facebook scrolling, right? Everybody has Facebook here, right? Probably. They're scrolling and like their Facebook ads, right? It's like a stop scroll, right? A scroll stop, right?
Mhm.
Does this thing catch my eye? You know, like it's a similar type of mentality. Like when it comes to Etsy, like look at all these. There's 64 listings on this page, by the way, right? Like on this Etsy search page, which one is going to get the click? Which one's getting my attention, right? And is that kind of how you view it?
For sure. And like it's worth noting too that like your approach is there isn't like a one size fits all approach. You're not going to capture every sale. Some people like it like a specific way of laying it out speaks to them and not everybody else. You know, like on Etsy, one thing I like is that this is something too that I think I bring it's maybe a unique perspective to relative to a lot of other people because I'm like a heavy Amazon seller.
Yep.
That's always been consistent for me. Like I never lost an Amazon account,
Yep.
knock on wood. On Amazon, you have to have the white background on your primary thumbnail. So you don't get to have fun like customizing it and making it all, you know, like on Etsy, you can go a million different ways with that primary. You know, that's the one people see in search results. So that's why I keep harping on the primary thumbnail as like the lead magnet, right? On
Yep.
Amazon, it has to be white background.
Yep.
Otherwise, they'll like algorithmically just suppress your listing. They'll just turn it off. Um, so like on
Exactly.
Amazon, in my experience, like I think that led to darker colored shirts selling better because like a black shirt just contrasts better against the white background than a white shirt does. You know, but if you go over to Etsy, you see you see the full spectrum of colors, number one, in the primary thumbnails, but like also you see a lot of like lighter colored shirts leading, at least in my opinion, you see a lot more than you do on Amazon, you know, on a relative basis. So there's little things like that that you can kind of, I think, almost capitalize on. But I would always invite people just, you know, searching Etsy for whatever you're attempting to sell. It's free. It only takes a minute. Just kind of do some market research, look at your competition, look at what's working. They tend to put the best performing listings at the top of the page. So that's your hint, you know?
Totally, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Like which ones are working is the key. And obviously, like shameless plug of EverBee, right? Is like all you do is like click on product analytics, you sort by revenue or sales or whatever you want to call it. And there's other
Mm-hmm.
tools that do this too, but like use them, right? Use the tools. Like this tools are here for you to like have an advantage. And if they're getting sales, if they're getting views, if they're getting favorites, if they're getting all these things, they're doing something right. Let's just follow what they're doing, kind of at least pay attention to what they're doing, right? One thing that I was curious to get your opinion on is like with thumbnails, for example. Let's say I have a hat, right? And I want to sell this hat and there's a lot of competition for this hat. Let's say you can't really compete on price because they're all kind of the same. Let's say like shipping's all kind of the same. Let's say they all free shipping. What are some things you could make this thumbnail stand out? Like, is it like just like maybe 2 or 3 things? Like for me, I guess I'll start off as like a free shipping badge, right? Like some sort of badge or some sort of like
Mm-hmm.
wording or something like that. Take advantage of the Etsy platform. Um, is that kind of what you would suggest to kind of like look at stuff like that?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, in terms of the thumbnail, for me, I always like, I mean, obviously Etsy's come a long way. Like there are people that just have such like beautiful, elegant thumbnails that I feel like
Yep.
fit the Etsy vibe.
Yep.
And I still, when I see some, I'm like, damn, like I need to up my game. Like you
Totally.
know, all
Same.
these years and I still see people raising the bar and I'm like, damn, I need to keep working, you know?
Yep.
But things that always pop in my mind are like some of the simplistic stuff. Like if it's a black hat, I'll probably like get a background color that, or some background. It could be background with elements, doesn't matter,
Mhm.
that contrasts well, that let the hat like kind of pop a little bit.
Mm.
I always want to make sure like whatever, you know, in the context of a hat, or it could be a shirt, if there's any text, like I want it to be easily read. I want them to know that like the text that they expect to be there is there. And then even beyond just the thumbnail. Oh yeah, you could also add things like even if it's not free shipping, you could always put something like ships fast. You know what I mean? What does fast mean? It's relative, right? So, by the way, Amazon. I know we're an Etsy podcast, but like Amazon, dude, they just recently changed like if you are FBM seller, like similar to how you're fulfilled by merchant on Etsy, like
Yep.
they made it so that like if you had a 5-day or more handling time, they put like big bold red text on your Amazon listing that said like ships in 5+ days,
That's
and if
cool.
you switch it to 4, they make it nice green text that says like ships in 3 to 4 days. So
Nice.
I was like, why did my sales drop off? I was using 5 days. I had to switch that.
Oh, interesting.
But on Etsy, I was gonna say too, like the star seller, I have a tab dedicated to my Etsy like inbox. So I'm not missing messages. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm quick to respond. I know that can get, crazy as you get more successful. Some of the people we know like outsource that. If you need to do that, do it. But like the star seller badge, that's a nice way of popping. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Your reviews are public across all your listings, at least the review count, so. And I do things like run a sale. I know that you don't have to run a sale, but that's something that shows up in the search results too. So like all
100%.
these little things, they're like subliminal check marks in the customer's mind when they see you.
Yep. And I would say they're not necessarily like big high level strategies. They're just tactics, right? They're little tactics, little tools that you should be kind of using, right? They're like the sale, for example, like something that actually most people don't know, surprisingly, that you mentioned the sale. Instead of like doing like a sale forever, like let's say a 2-week, 3-week, 5-week sale, run it for 3 days at a time, right? It just gives a little sense of urgency, right, to the buyer to be like, oh, the sale's ending, and because Etsy rewards you, they kind of share something. I forget exactly the copy that they use, but is that kind of what you do? I imagine.
You know what? Like up until like a month ago, I was resetting it every single night, but I set
Yep.
way too many recurring calendar reminders for myself. So for my own sanity, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. But I
Totally.
was resetting it every single day, 24 hours. Like I would
Oh
reset the
wow.
sale because you can go in. Like again, I just have a bookmark tab to my sale. So it's like I don't need to like remember and go to Etsy, key it in. Like I'm always making things as simple as possible because I spread myself thin. I got,
Sure.
I do a lot of stuff, obviously, like in simultaneously. So for that, it was like, how can I make this as simple as possible? Okay, the tab's there. I have a calendar reminder. It's going to tell me to do it in case I forget. I click end sale. I go create the new sale. It's maybe 5 clicks and a little bit of text to name it, and then I just restart it. And
Love it.
it's like some people get overwhelmed at the thought. I'm just like, what is it actually? How many clicks is it? Can I default a browser tab? You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, it's only 40 seconds a day, So, and then also when you restart that sale, Etsy can sometimes email your customers, hey,
Yep.
that product you favorited or that you had in your cart, it's on sale, So it's like, again, like that, anytime you can bring people back to the platform and they're doing this for you on your behalf. It's not like running a Shopify store where you have to do it yourself. So just like leverage these things.
I love it, man. Totally agree. Those are some solid takeaways. One thing because you have so much going on right now, it didn't start out that way. Yeah, like I imagine, right? I don't think it did, at least.
No, no.
You started one thing at a time, or maybe one or two things at a time, right? It sounds, I imagine, because you're a human being.
Yep.
Web designer, and then you decided to go FBA. I imagine you probably had other things going on, but you really focused. It sounds like you hired a coach, like you went all in on that one thing that you chose to learn. A lot of right now, I see this so often, and it kind of like kills me a little bit, and I don't know how to convince somebody otherwise, is that people are like, they're trying to do so many things at one time. So they have a job, they have kids probably, just because they're later in life, and that's fine. So they have job, they have kids, 2 full-time jobs, by the way, right? Then they're like, I want to like escape this job so I could have more freedom to live with my kids and live with my family. Okay. So what they do is they try to look for ways to do that. Awesome. Etsy is one of them. Amazon is another one. And then also this real estate investing is another one too. And so what they do is they jump into all 3 things at one time while they're still like trying to manage the 2 other things. So pretty soon they have like 2 or 3 new businesses they're trying to learn literally from scratch. Can you talk to that person, or like, what do you think about that? I guess, first of all, like how do you think about focus?
I would say one thing is like, it's great to have that sort of ambition and that fire inside you. Like I had that fire inside of me. Bottle it up and make sure it stays there. You know what I mean? Like I'd never really had the like, I don't know. Also, it's like a mental thing. I'm sure me and you could probably vibe on that just based on what we said earlier. Like I don't have like self-doubt. I don't have imposter syndrome. Like the craziest thing I ever experienced in my life was like, in summary, I guess, like I was a web developer, right? Like I was good at that. So I worked as a web developer and I ended up teaching web development when I was 25 in college. And I'm like as old as a lot of my students are. And I'm like the first day driving to teach with no training, no clue how I got there or why I'm doing it, right? It just kind of like got to keep challenging myself. I got a master's degree. That was the real story. And I was like, why did I get a master's degree in IT? I'm a developer. This doesn't pay at all. Like having a master's degree meant nothing. It was a waste of money, honestly, unless I used it to make money, which has led me to teaching. And I remember just being in the car, like, what the heck am I doing? Like, how am I going to stand in front of a room of my peers
Sure.
and teach this when I have no clue? Right. And so like that made me I just came to the realization like, yo, you have to do it. So you might as well get over the fear because it's not getting you anywhere. It's not helping. It's not beneficial. Take that like and just roll with that and set your mindset to like, I'm going to do this. Like, I don't have self-doubt that like I'm going to see something through. Like with my FBA business, I'm like, when I hired that coach, I'm like, cool. I know I'm going to launch an FBA product. And if I fail the first time, I'm just going to go through the whole process again. And it's going to be twice as easy. And so, yeah, I mean, it's hard, like, because I don't have kids. That's one of the things I use that as a motivating factor, though. Like, I know I want to be rich when I have kids so that, you know,
Yep.
I don't have to come to these like harder decisions about like losing sleep at night, trying to start the business. And, you know, I love my sleep. So I'm trying to get it all done now. And
Yeah,
one thing
totally.
I'll say though, man,
Like self-doubt, like it pops in my head. But I think it's normal for most people to have those things. It's more so like how you tackle those things when how do you overcome them? Are you gonna let them bury you, right? Or are you gonna like try to proceed? And I think, and how you proceed is by taking action, by taking the right steps, by hiring the coach, right? So therefore you didn't even have to really think about it because you have somebody showing you the way. I think also like people just need to bottle up all that fire, like you said, all that ambition, all that fire. And because you have limited resources of time in this case, you need to take that bottle and not distribute it three ways, not by three businesses. You need to distribute it into one, focus it into one, because that's your limited resources time. So let's just like use all that energy into one business. And that's Etsy. If that's Amazon merch, do it. If that's Etsy, do it. Right. But don't do three things. Like if you already time is already a limiting factor. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing though. There are like some subset of people that probably can do, like I'm one of them, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that like, yo, like I'm really good at using a computer. I was a huge computer nerd since I was 13. You know what I mean? So like I stick to what I'm good at. It enables me. Like no joke, like right over here, I've got everything I need to be a successful stock options trader. Like I don't ever talk about that, but that's just something that's like part of my personal evolution. Like I think this is going to make me filthy wealthy. You know what I mean? I know it will. I
Yep.
know it will. Like in my mind, I don't have any doubt that like that is coming at some point, but these trades have to kind of come to me. I can't force it. But you know what I mean? It's like
I do.
I can do this because it's in my realm of expertise. Not stock options. I just mean like using a computer, having 4 computer monitors, having a super fast desktop. You know what I mean? Like I was really good at computer games. I wasn't just like, you know, playing for fun. I was like, no, like I'm going to waste my time doing this. I'm going to be good.
Yeah.
Now I'm good at keyboard and mouse. Like I know that's silly to say, but like
Yep.
it all helps me like achieve things fast and efficient, you know?
Yep, exactly. No, totally, man. Like you're using resources that you have, like the skills, and you're stacking the skills and compounding them on top of each other, and they kind of like overlap into other businesses, other things, because things become easier when you're, for example, learn one basic skill of a computer, just general skill of using a computer. That thing can go used like broadly across these other skills and businesses, right? And as soon as you learn Canva, for example, right, is like as soon as you learn that, all of a sudden you can use it for print on demand. You can use it for like graphic design, like you can use it for like designing an invitation for your friend and selling it to them or whatever, right? The point is like stack the skills.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, like bringing it back to Etsy and EverBee, for instance, like EverBee will help you regardless of what you're selling on Etsy. You know what I mean? It's like, so whether it's print on demand, that's kind of what I think I'm more synonymous with, or something else. Like some people are crafters. You know what I mean? There's some beautiful like handmade stuff on Etsy. If you have like you're an artist or whatever it is, woodworking, I don't know, I'm just making stuff up.
Yep.
Like, and you have the ability to kind of be dynamic in what you could potentially sell, you know, using a tool like EverBee to help do market research, identify the opportunities, not just kind of say, oh, well, I'm just going to like, I'm not trying to like hate on anybody for doing this, but some people, that's how their mind works, where it's like, I'm going to do this. It's like, well, you skipped the market research part. You should go back and say,
Yeah.
I'm open to using my talents to monetize those talents in selling things that I can verify, right? It's like, if you're
Yeah.
more open to that and taking a step back, you like, I'll tell you off camera, like what my first like FBA product I launched was, but it's like hilarious. You know what I mean? It's like a janitorial product. You know what I mean? It's like a disgusting thing that nobody would think to sell,
Yep.
but market research told me, hey, there's opportunity here. And the rest is history. Like I still sell it. You know what I mean?
Totally. I love that, man. So good. Okay, cool. So let's wrap it up a little bit. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm at Ryan Hogue Passive Income on YouTube. I was featured in CNBC, so if you Google me, you'll probably find the CNBC article. Like that was it came out in November of last year. That was super cool. And RyanHogue.com, I have a blog. I kind of blog about some stuff. My journey. income reports for the first like I think 5 years of my journey from like 2017 to 2022. And I post daily sales updates now on my Instagram story. So you can find me on Instagram too.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for sharing all that. Thank you for contributing to the e-commerce community. Like personally, I love it, and we're trying to do the same. So it's always like fun to connect with other people doing it. But seriously though, man, really appreciate the value that you bring.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for the invite, Cody.
Of course, man. Talk to you soon.